Good morning, my students. This is me again, Dr. Hani Alhasani, and that's our course Study Skills for Freshman Students in English Department, Isra University, Gaza. Today we will talk about Chapter 12, How to Get On in Groups. So, for this chapter, if you have such an issues with group work, or if you don't know how to succeed in assist group or team tasks, then this chapter comes out for you. So I hope to understand this concept for the following years. Um, as you will move to sophomore students after this semester, you will have such kind of work to work into teams or group work for assignments. Okay, then this is our outline for the chapter. We have study groups, assist group work, what is group work and why groups, advantage and disadvantages of group work, SO or SWOT, your group work. That's a concept that we will talk about it later on. How to do group work and bilbins, group rules, their processes. So we have this kind of concept, and we need to understand the concept for each one. I wish you could understand all of these issues within the explanations and just more justifications about these concepts. Therefore, let's move for the starting or the beginning slide for all what we need to discuss. So we have here study groups. Many people arrive at university feeling shy and alone. Don't we know how shy you are? Don't we know how difficult that is? Finding and making friends is the best way to make sure that you stay at or and succeed in university. So in general, you cannot work alone for some courses. Some courses or some assignments needs working together. It means you are, as students, you have to sit together and divide all the tasks among yourselves, and then you can monitor and evaluate your work day by day until you reach the deadline for submitting. And gradually people find that they talk about different lessons with another person. So like sometimes when you start a group work, first of all you need to know each one way of thinking, and maybe the way for dealing with the situation, or the way dealing with psychological thinking of others. And here is a kind of picture about how you can study in the university when you are in teamwork or group task. You can bring laptops or notes or booklets and discuss with each other about the possible situation or possible issues that you could do. And more on assist group work. Informal groups will help you to enjoy university. It means when you come to assessing that kind of group, what you need to do. So most universities build up assist group activities into their teaching programs. And why they do this? Because of the following reason. Each university force the lecturers and even us, the students, to do that kind of group work, because they believe in collaborative learning. We are inter and should recognize and build on that. So when we are social people, we have to deal with each other. We cannot avoid working on that part. That's why a lot of things can be interdependent, and we have to be how to say it, like exchanging the ideas and delivering whatever in our thoughts. That's what we call cooperative with each other. And group work also offers support, social and academic. It means you can find the support socially and academically from your colleagues that surrounded you. Tasks are easier when they are shared. So when you share your ideas, you will find the task will be easier, and the assignment that you are dealing with will be easier than before. Sometimes our understanding is quite limited. Let's say we are five in group. Each one has his own level of proficiency or competency level. So we cannot ignore this point, as many people distinguished with proficiency or competency level even higher or lower, or maybe as a mid or intermediate. So learning is easier when you discuss it with others, and also they are pragmatically preparing students for the world of work. If you can't work with other people, you are unlikely to keep jobs. So most of the jobs ask you to do or to submit your cover letter, writing you can or your abilities, and they ask for the requirements to able to work into teamwork. So ability to work in such a team, it's very compulsory and important for so many companies and work environment around the world. What is group work? So we started to talk a lot about grouping and assessing the work. So group work, when you want to talk about the structure of the group. So a group has to have membership of two or more people. So I cannot say this is a group without involving a two person at least. So I have to think about group if it's around 4 or 5 members into one group. So there should be a sense of shared identity. You should all feel like a group with shared goals. So why we make this group, or why lecturers or workers ask for group? Because without a group you will be suffering a lot, and your achievement will take a long or longer time that or than you expected. Therefore, to continue, you should feel a connection to and be able to interact with each other with the sense that you can achieve your goals together. So this is a picture how each one has his own target or his own thinking. Someone think about the question, someone think about maybe about something technologically, another person think critically. So this is the way for thinking. No one can be the same in the same group, and you may be asked to reflect on the whole group work experience, and this reflection will be awarded a grade. This kind of grade or kind of assessment for the group if they have an assignment, and it is about how you worked as group, rules that were be adopted, problems that occurred and how they were solved. So usually when I give you an assignment, it could be about problem solving for like such a trouble or a problem. You can discuss it with your colleagues and think about how you could answer or how you could solve it somehow. So here we have why groups, a question. Why we need to do this? So generally, group work offers many advantages to students of all ages. That's already a fact, or a frequent fact that we understand it. Also, it can foster supportive and active learning, giving you the opportunity to discuss ideas, collaborate with others, deepen your personal knowledge, and develop your personal and intra or interpersonal skills. So, if we have a group, we can do a lot of things for fostering supportive active learning. That's the target for so many universities around the world. They change their education from passive learning to active learning, and they need the students talking more than lecturers. That's the nowadays teaching. Working with others means you share the workload. So if I have an assignment to read one chapter, so one chapter almost around 25 pages. So alone, or if I did it alone, I will not achieve it within limited or the matching time. That's why I need to find a group and maybe divide each 5 pages into or for one student. That's how we can achieve the work within limited time. You can learn to listen as well as to speak, to encourage others, as well as to establish yourself and to work cooperatively and collegially with a team. So, if you learn to listen and speak uh, respectively, you will understand the rules of each group. That's why it's not easy for the group mentalities or the mindset for each member in the group uh, recognize the listening or listening skill or speaking skill, because most people at the beginning they will fight who will be the leader, who will or who can speak more, because that's how usually the issues of starting with groups. And a good group here offers social support that can break down the isolation or often associated with being a student. So isolation means being alone. So with a group, you will not experience being lonely. You will have your understanding or your personality to find out how you can deal with a group socially. So what also you have to do with a group, you need to develop the assertiveness than rather than aggression. It means you have to be calm down, use diplomacy, and avoiding the bullying or avoiding the stubbornness. It means you cannot be stubborn in your opinion. You have to be flexible if they say no and you uh, being convinced with no, so you have to agree with them. No need to be stubborn and being nervous in your own opinion to uh, be in contrary or in contrast with them. You have to understand how to accept the group opinion until you find the assessment whether it's with you or not. Okay, here I mentioned disadvantages of group work. In the same time, I didn't mention the advantages because already all of us recognize the advantages. But the disadvantages, it means if I read the disadvantages of a group work, I have to be in line with the way how the group working can be um, against your maybe target or goal. And here to mention the first thing, students are competitive and are chasing their own good grades. So in the group you can find, as we say, different levels. Some students they are excellent, some of them very good and a poor student, and last the students who are really weak. So those who need or those who follow the highest grades, they will not support the weak students. So that's the point. They don't want their group grade based on the effort or lack of effort of others. So they are following their own way in the group because they need marks. Also, incredibly resentful of those in the group who do not pull their weight. It means some students they won't share or involve with the group. They will maybe being absent, or they will avoid the meetings. That's why that maybe can bring to you somebody who will dominate the group, or someone who will bullying, or who will distract people from each other, and others who will stay silent. You cannot force them. Some students in the group, even you encourage them and support them from time to time, they will keep calm and silent without any cooperative work. And that's why it's really hectic and difficult for the whole group to convince them to change their own style or their own behavior. And maybe they are not interested to be with them. None of the if this feels satisfactory, and that cause much resentment. It means if you are not if you feel you are not satisfactory, or you are not satisfied with the group work, you will be a little bit more um, how to say aggressive or resentment in the same time. Okay, well, SWOT, your group work. So last time or previous lectures we mentioned what's the concept of W or SWOT. We say that SWOT means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you need to discuss the group strength. Are you already in the track? Can your group perform something well? And how are you going to build on your strength? And the weaknesses, how to tackle the problems in the group, such issues or whatever. And the opportunities, how could our group raise up and reach a higher level for the project or for the performance? And how have you managed to grow as a person and as a student? So that's level how to grow. It needs your maybe day and night working. What are the threats, or what are the things that affecting your own work, and what are you doing to do that, and what is wrong with this group? These kind of concerning question or concerning issues, it needs you to tackle and to overcome. You need to overcome. It means to find a solution for what is making you afraid of failures. Next, how to do group work. So the best way to get the most from group work is to approach it positively, determined to get the most from it. So when you approach it positively, being positive is the first stage or the first phase that you can move on with your work. Without positive feeling or positive thinking, you couldn't achieve anything. So that's the first step. If you really dislike group work but have to engage in it, fake it to make it. You have to indulge yourself into it. Role play being an active, positive student who enjoys the group work. Choose your group with care. So sometimes, if you want to avoid the routine of being chosen into such a group randomly, sometimes you need to maybe formulate your own group carefully. So you have the space to think about how to formulate your group. Do not just team up with those people sitting next to you. So sometimes you always work with the same people, but it's not a good way for group work. It's better to find a kind of heterogeneous and homogeneous groups from time to time. Homogeneous means maybe they are different in their way of thinking. Heterogeneous, they are similar. And group tasks here normally involve hard work. Choose people who are motivated, positive, and industrious. Industrious means they are very fruitful or very active to produce kind of work. They have the target and the goal. Next, we have bilbins group rules. So when we talk about bilbins group work, we need to think about his work or the name. So in general, when we talk about bilbins, he is a kind of scientist. 1981 described the group activities into 8 rules. So the first rule, company, person, dutiful or unorganized. So the person that will be accompany you or join your group should be dutiful or working for a duty, organized, possibly inflexible. So that's the first part. Chair, calm and open-minded, not necessarily creative. So when you become calm, so a little bit like open-minded, you can share your thought with others without any problem. Shaper, it means dynamic but impatient. Shaper, like you become dynamic, active. Creative thinker, brilliant ideas but maybe unrealistic. Resource investigator, extrovert. Extrovert, you are social person, responds well to challenge, may lose interest. So you like to challenge, you like kind of defying issues. Monitor, it means you are controlling yourself, like hard-headed or super, keeps everything on track. uh, may lack inspiration sometimes, but you have to keep yourself on track. Teamwork, you are social person, plenty of team spirit. And completer or finisher, you are perfectionist or conscientious. So that's a way for dealing with 8 rules. It's very important to remember them, and you can find online questionnaires that help you to discover rule you might like to play in your group. So that's an extra thing that you could think about it later on. So we have here Adair processes. When we talk about Adair, you have to understand that this scientist write kind of things you need to keep in your mind. What are the processes? So the situation in the group, like here, uh, Bilbin describes the rules adopted in a group situation. Adair describes the process, how the group can move on. So Adair argues that a group pass through distinct transformations and how they deal with it with each other. That's why we have to think about the 5 points that Adair's mentioned: forming, storming, norming, and performing, and finally number 5, mourning. So we have 5 uh, issues how the processes can be into the group. So forming, the first thing when we come up or we have a group, we need to form it, how to deal with each other. So it's time of high anxiety as people work out who is in the group. So you choose who is in the group, what the assignment is, and what are the rules or the behavior. Sometimes you need to choose your leader, who is your leader, and how you can work, what they will have to do to get job done. So you divide the tasks, the duties among themselves. That's the forming stage. So in exam later on, if we ask about Adair processes, make sure you remember the 5 stages or 5 phases that he mentioned. So Adair here also, storming is where conflict arises, and we have also sometimes if there is a problem, how you could deal with it and how you could maybe solve it. And here there is reaction emotionally, the value of the task, feasibility of the task. Number three, norming. So when we talk about norming, as the name suggests, is where the group begins to settle down. So how we can make stabilizing stage when we have the norm. So norm, you put the requirements like plans, standards, cooperation begins. People are to communicate their feelings more positively. And performing here is where the group gets on and does what it was asked to do. Like when you perform, you have to do what rules are accepted, understood, deadline are set to kept. Communication is facilitated by good interpersonal skills. So when you have interpersonal skills, you could communicate more easier than before. And the last for morning here, supposed to follow successful and intense group experience. As you work hard, you develop links and bonds. So you have the trust of others, and the feeling of interdependence is very satisfying, and people can enjoy getting lost in the flow. And that's why you need to find a sense of loss somehow, but you have to keep them in on track. That's what Adair stages mentioned for 5 stages. And last, I would like to thank you for listening to me. Again, remember, we talk about Adair processes, we talk about bilbins, how to do group work, and SWOT disadvantages. And we talk about the same for advantages, why groups, what is group work, and assist group work, study groups, and we mentioned the outline. So thank you very much for paying attention to this class, and I'm really very pleased to have you for this course. See you later for another chapter. Thank you again.